Hey guys, I am super excited to say that today is the 10th anniversary of Coffee and Games. Well, it's the 10th time I've posted to this playlist in either a vlog or a podcast way. And I'm excited to say that this is the fifth out of 10 episodes that will be a podcast, and we have Mela. And I'm super excited because one of the questions I get all of the time about Guild Wars 2, especially swapping my Twitch content from 14 to Guild Wars 2, a lot of people say, "Isn't that dead?" And I feel like every podcast I've done, we've kind of brought this up, and people have said, well, only the community really knows that Guild Wars 2 isn't dead. And this podcast specifically with Mela shows how much of a community there is and how much people pay attention to every portion of the game that they love and want to get people involved. So if you want to be a part of this too, after watching the podcast, check out the links down below. We will have links for myself, my stream, Mela, his stream, his YouTube, as well as HardStuck, podcast, and all of the communities that go along with Guild Wars 2. So enjoy. And if you like everything, make sure to like, comment, and applaud. I'll see you guys at the next one. So if you want to let everybody know where they can find you when you stream and such.
Hello, my name is Mela. I've been streaming Guild Wars 2 for about 3 years now, and I've been playing the game for about 6. And I stream on Twitch every day at twitch.tv/Mela. And I have 2 YouTube channels. I'm not exactly sure which one I'll keep on using, because I have different contents on one different than the other. And I am Hi Mela on Twitter, because original Mela name was taken already, so I'm a little bit sad about that, but yeah.
So actually with your name, Mela, how did you come up with that name? What is it supposed to mean? Because I actually had someone in my stream when I was talking about doing this podcast with you, they're like, that's Italian for apple, right? And I'm over there saying, I'm Italian. I should know this. I don't know. I don't know if that's why. So if you could give us a little bit of the origin of your name.
So very, very old group of friends of mine that I used to play League of Legends with. They gave me this name because, very weird story, but the Annoying Orange series of videos, if you know that from YouTube, it started getting very popular in Italy. And of course, Apple being Mela, they just started calling me Mela. And I didn't have a nickname at the time, so I just kind of took it. And yeah, there I am. I'm a fruit.
Awesome. That's okay. And so you were saying that you do 2 different types of content for both of your YouTube channels, and you're not sure which one you're going to stick with. Can you tell us about the different types of content that you do on each channel?
Yeah, sure. So a long time ago, I played PvE in a way more competitive and organized way. I used to do a lot of speed runs and record and grinding and spending a lot of time in the game like that. So my first channel, which is the more known one, is mostly for things like that. So there's a lot of, I don't know, benchmarks, records, world's first races, and all these things. And then the second one is what I was supposed to turn into, basically my VOD from Twitch streams. So like Twitch highlights or little guides that I do on stream, and then I do a little bit of editing and then post them on YouTube in case people want to find them again. But I might focus on the Twitch one a little bit more in the future, because I moved on from very competitive PvE. I don't do that much anymore, so yeah, that was the difference. I wanted to just destroy my microphone. I wanted to like separate them a little bit, but yeah.
Right. And so if you had any plans for the future, and you did mention that you were looking at possibly a little bit of rebranding. I don't know if you would want to tell people about it yet. But if you were to choose one of those, do you know in which direction you want to go to? Would you actually combine them?
I'm not exactly sure. It's been a while now that I moved on from competitive stuff for PvE, but I'm moving more to an organization side of competitive PvE. I've been doing a lot of organizing stuff with Teapot, for example. I already had a podcast with him as well about this.
Mhm.
We're organizing a lot of tournaments for any kind of PvE content, PvP content as well, Wobby World, fashion, all these things. So I'll probably just focus more on organizing PvE content on my second channel, which will eventually become my first one. But I do want to keep the old one alive, well, old, like my original channel, because I spent a lot of time playing with old group of people from SC and all my other like PvE high-end friends
Right.
that we spent grinding runs together and stuff like that. So one day I'll be an old man, I'll look back at it, I'll be happy about it. But
And it's
yeah,
fun
for
to see
now,
where you started from too, to go like back and look at that and be like, okay, so I've updated this, this, and this. I'm a lot better at speaking about this. Or like I went from actually competing to organization, which is really cool as well. And so do you actually organize and or commentate your events on Twitch? Or is it mainly just kind of like a community thing that you do offline?
I have casted tournaments in the past for a couple of games. I have one that I'm organizing myself, and I'm gonna cast myself tomorrow or in 2 days. And then there's gonna be some more PvE events that I'll be probably casting with some other people. And I'm doing a lot of the adminning stuff for rules or handling all the players, guilds, and people that are gonna be joining the rosters, the brackets, and all these things together with Depot and some other people from the admin team. Yeah, that's mostly what I'll be doing.
I was just wondering
Yeah.
exactly how you determine who's going to be in the tournaments. Do you have like applications or things like that, or is it just mainly like gauging interest in Discord and just if it's a large amount of people and then you have to pick and choose?
So I'm mostly friends with all the old PvE boys, I want to call them, all the people that do speedruns and such. So I really kind of have an idea of who we want to be in a tournament that is more aimed at hardcore players, a tournament that is more aimed towards newer raiders, for example. So we can have different brackets, so we can have different tournaments. So we actually had, well, Teapot did this by himself back in the days. He had a tournament called Amateur Raiding Party that was aimed at newer raiders, and another one that was called Elitist Raiding Party. A little bit of a funny
It's
ERP
awesome.
short name. But, yeah, we have now. We're gonna change a little bit. It's gonna be an open bracket where everyone can join, and if any guild applies and we actually know the players or we actually know the guild name, they'll just be playing against people of the same level in a way. Also, there's other, like, people talk to us. We kind of chase them a little bit. We have a little bit of communication going on. There's also other events, such as the Raid League, that we can keep an eye on. They have different systems to see which guild gets like fastest record runs or just normal runs. And depending on how they do in the Raid League, we can kind of keep an eye on that. We can also ask people that we know if they know other guilds that maybe didn't reach out to us yet.
Right.
It's a big community effort. We just put it all together pretty much.
Which is amazing because Guild Wars 2 doesn't have esports because of that faltering in the beginning. Do you actually know what happened, why it didn't pick up? Did you try to watch any of it or
When the actual PvP esports in Guild Wars 2 unfortunately stopped existing, I wasn't playing the game that much yet, so I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but I think that like we can't exactly replace it like the full way, like all the way, but I hope that we can show the community, maybe if not, I mean, maybe one day even ArenaNet, that there's actually a lot of competition. There's been a lot of raid tournaments in the game so far, and it feels like a lot of guilds are actually coming back for ones that will be organizing this year. Same goes for PvP teams. There's actually a lot of more PvP teams that are creating because they want to compete in the monthly automated tournament that happens in the game every month. That you can just sign up with 5 people, and also the ones that will be organizing, well, hopefully forever until the game stops existing, I guess. But yeah, it's really cool to see that PvP teams, raid groups, even fractal groups. There's people that, of course, really like doing fractals. People that actually still run dungeons as well.
Right.
They're just not as popular as they used to be because at some point they nerfed the rewards and then they made the rewards good again, and people kind of moved from dungeons to fractals and then to raids. But yeah, it's cool to see that there's people that would still actually be up to compete for dungeons, fractals, raids, PvP, and everything, because there is still a lot of competition in the game. It's just that it's not officially run by the company that makes the game, right?
I almost think it means more because it's community driven. So it's like we're doing this out of our passion for it and not necessarily because the rewards are huge or whatever. And it's not like a huge recognition. Like obviously you'll be recognized within the Guild Wars 2 community, but it's not like on a huge worldwide scale, kind of like a BlizzCon competition or anything like that. But it would be neat if ArenaNet did try to pick it up again. And with that said, with End of Dragons coming out with the expansion, are you expecting a new raid? And if so, just because I haven't been around for this and I don't know how Guild Wars 2 players handle it, but when new raids come out, kind of like I came from WoW in 14, there's always people streaming for that world first completion, even if it's not sanctioned by the game developers. So will there be a Guild Wars 2 race to complete the raid?
So I do expect to see more raids. I also do expect to see some changes to the ones that already exist, which is something that we maybe talk about a little bit later on. But I do expect there to be more raids. I think ArenaNet maybe is focusing on something else momentarily, because maybe it needs more attention. But I don't think they're done with raids yet. Same goes for strike missions, which was supposed to be raid bosses, but you just go in, you kill it, you move on. I don't think they're done with that either. We might actually see more of those. Because they never said that, hey, look, guys, we are done with raids. Hey, look, guys, we're done with strikes. Which is something that they did with dungeons, for example, when dungeons kind of stopped being developed or updated. So I do expect to see more of those. And as for races for World's First for Raid Wings, people do actually do that, but not every guild group does. Some people are scared of other groups stealing their strats, which is understandable, but in a way, I'm not a fan of that because it kind of removes the live competition. Oh, this guild is on this boss, this guild is on this other boss. Usually people keep an eye on the Reddit. When a guild actually kills a boss, they will post it on the Reddit. But there is some good groups, like really good groups of players that do actually stream their world's first progression. And I actually had an idea for this as well. When we do eventually grow our organization a little bit more, HardStuck, I did want to organize an event where guild that actually clears a new raid wing, if it eventually releases into the game, I hope so. First group that actually manages to clear it, we offer a big reward for it, and we would be like live streaming their stream and show it on stream. Talk about the boss's strats, all the compositions, and also because in the new expansion, of course, there's going to be new elite specs, so it'd be interesting to see new comps and stats, maybe new stats as well, things that people run. I think that would be a lot of fun actually to cast and organize.
Right.
If new things come out, yeah.
And that was actually going to be part of my next question, because one of the things, I don't know if you've messed around with or know of a lot of Final Fantasy XIV, but one of the big things for WoW is for a lot of organizations to do events just based around casting the world first things for whatever guild it is. And they tried doing that for Final Fantasy XIV, and Square did it themselves. And so they commissioned people who were really good at those raids and who might already know the mechanics and could talk about kind of, okay, now they have to get past this obstacle coming up, and okay, now there's this, and they actually casted it. So it's actually kind of neat that you answered the question already. And so going off of the elite specializations, do you have any theory crafting behind what some of the new ones might be, or is there anything you're hoping to see?
There's a lot of people that are really into lore that or played a lot of Guild Wars 1. I didn't, unfortunately. I do want to play it at some point. That think that Mesmer might be getting Hammer, Elementalist might be getting Great, so like they all have theories on all things. I think it would be really, really cool to see Warrior get a staff. I feel like Warrior getting a staff might make it sort of like a monk with really cool animations. And I also think Greatsword on Elementalist, I feel like might look cool as well. I'm just going off of like aesthetics, pretty much.
That's okay.
Like as long as I get something new to play with new elite specs, I'll be happy. But yeah, I like to see Ellie with Greatsword, Warrior with staff for me, some kind of staff fighter monk. Those are my only two wishes for elite specs, but.
And so previously with the podcasts I've done, obviously with Teapot and Muckluck, we mainly focused on their favorite comp or class and their build for PvP. Do you have something that you prefer on the PvE side to play? And do you focus on a build that maybe isn't necessarily very widely used? Or is it something that it's more of a meta to produce more DPS?
Having been around in like the hardcore PvE scene of the game for a while, I was in a way kind of forced to play what was best in slot at the time. Otherwise my guildies like whip me. But like nowadays I pretty much play whatever is needed or whatever I feel like. I do have a group of players that I do my normal clears with on stream. Like most of my viewers that have been raiding with me for a while will join me. I mostly do play DPS. I'm known as a DPS player from back in the days, or even now, I guess. But I can play healer, I can play tank, I can pretty much play whatever role at this point. I just kind of play what is necessary. But favorite classes, favorite DPS classes, I really enjoy Ellie. I really enjoy Engie. Rev is also good. Well, I like it anyway. It is also good. I like
know,
Hallie.
You have to be careful with those things. You never know.
Don't
Comments in here. Rev isn't good. I'm just kidding.
It is.
I actually like Revenant.
You also like Hallie. I see you play a lot of Ellie in stream. But, I played Ellie for a very, very long time in PvE as well. So I like to see more Elementalist gamers play Guild Wars.
It's nice knowing that it's viable, at least. It's not just my liking something, that it's actually viable.
It's actually... Well, as of right now, pretty much everything is viable in PvE. The fact that there is 2 elite specs on top of the basic traits makes it so that there is a lot of variety. Right. So pretty much everything is good. Of course, there's going to be classes that are going to be better in some places than others. That's always going to be the case, but everything is playable as long as you run some decent stats on it, you will do damage, so that's fine.
And so with that said, and my being a new player, one of the things that I haven't done yet, obviously, are dungeons and raids. And I've seen you do a lot of those. And so even though it sounds kind of silly, but just because I'm new, if you could explain how to actually use like the party finder and how to like search for things like that. And if you're putting your own group together, how exactly do you do that in the UI? And do you prefer having your own static group, or do you have a lot of fun with pugs, essentially?
So normally dungeon LFGs, well, back in the days, long time ago, dungeon LFGs would require you to have people with LFG, looking for players that have 5,000 achievement points to join this dungeon, because back then there was no actual kill proof in the game, as in show me something that tells me that you have done this dungeon before, like a title or an item or the way you look because of your skins. Like armor skins or shoulder piece or anything you might be wearing, right? Nowadays, people in dungeons anyway, people just kind of go with whatever. Like Ascalon in Catacombs, which is the first dungeon, people just LFG for anything. Like AC, like Ascalon in Catacombs, like Path 1, 2, 3, or Story Mode. You just go in with a bunch of classes. I think mostly because dungeons became easier over time with the addition of elite specs and the fact that PvE isn't balanced around dungeons at all anymore. So you can go in with whatever class, and they're not necessarily going to be easy for every group. But they added break bars a while ago to PvE. You break a dungeon boss, and it basically melts within seconds because of all the additional damage that you do to it.
Right.
So for dungeon LFG, is pretty much you just go in, you kill a bunch of stuff. You might die to trash mobs once in a while because they are many and they do a lot of damage, more than the bosses sometimes, which is very interesting. But for fractals and raids, because the content is way more alive than dungeons, I want to say. It is obviously a lot more organized and competitive when it comes to what classes you want to look for, especially like very, very like high-end fractals. For example, in raids, something that most groups will go for is a druid, and they should, because druid is an extremely good support profession. You can provide your team with basically all the good boons, and you also heal. For fractals, people don't go for druid that much. People would rather take a firebrand, because raids have mechanics. I feel really weird explaining this.
It's okay.
So fractal, like dungeons have actual bosses. Dungeons have actual bosses that will hit you. Like the dungeon boss sees player and it goes there, it hits him and does attacks and some mechanics. While fractals and raids are more about AoEs or attacks that are scripted. Like the dungeon boss, the raid boss or the fractal boss isn't gonna like run at you and like hit you in the face. He's just gonna do his AoE circles that are telegraphed. You stand in them, you don't stand in them. The thing with fractals is that people don't really take druid much because it's annoying to deal with all the way druid works in general. It's a bit weird to explain if you're like newer to the game, so I don't want to go too much into detail.
I'll get there. We'll come back to the conversation on
exactly.
that.
We can do some raids together at some point. But yeah, most people in high-end fractal FGs will look for guardian support, basically.
Okay.
Most people in raids will look for druids. Druid is really good boon, really good boon class, really good healer. But people in raids will also look for a second healer because you have two subgroups. So you have druid healing 5 people and a second healer, which is not usually a druid, healing the other subgroup. So it's 5 and 5 because target cap. So you only heal 5, you only heal 5. In fractals, you usually don't take the druid because the healers, like the heals that a firebrand can provide, and the boons that a firebrand can provide are way more than the one that a druid can give. Firebrand spams Aegis, which is extremely good in fractals. So you can block. You give a block to your entire group. Basically, I don't know, every like 2 seconds, like whenever you want to. You give a lot of heals, a lot of regen, a lot of burst heals. You have tomes on Firebrand that are really strong. A lot of cleanses, stability, regen, resistance, which makes like condis you have on you basically do nothing. You're resisting to conditions. It's very. It sounds a little bit complicated, maybe. I'm not sure.
It sounds like for fractals, it's more based on movement conditions and situations and DPS. And then in raids, it's more of throughput. So you might have someone who's more of a dedicated healer and a dedicated DPS rather than both, if that's the way you're trying to explain it.
Yeah,
I think I get where you're coming from. It's just hard to put into...
Yeah, I really struggle to explaining it right now.
Right.
Well,
and so you play on both NA and EU, correct? Or is it just EU primarily?
I mostly play on EU. I do have the power to transfer to NA because of the arena partner perks, I guess.
Right.
But I don't really transfer to NA much because the LFG in NA is a little bit not as active because of the population being lower, and also in NA, people actually use discords or TeamSpeaks or giant guilds to organize stuff like raids more than they use the in-game LFG itself.
Right.
Which is, I guess it's cool, but it might be confusing to new people that play on NA because they see that the LFG is constantly dead and they don't understand exactly why.
Right.
As on EU, the LFG itself is a little bit more active as well, which is something that we do want to work on as well with the organization stuff that we're doing, because it is, we would like to see the NLFG be more active. Like, if I'm playing on EU and I'm like, oh, the EU LFG is nothing on it right now, I'll just transfer to NA, do some POG raids on NA, right? I think that would be cool. And also less confusing for new players that don't know what Discord is, maybe, or they just don't know which Discord server to join. They don't know which guild to join. Maybe the guild that they want to join is full because the 500 member cap. And yeah, so like using the in-game tool would be a lot better in my opinion. We do want to fix that at some point.
Absolutely. And I love how that's the thing that you want to focus on, and not the age-old NA versus EU, which one has better strats and things like that. So it's more of that, actually finding people rather than focusing on that.
Yeah, of course EU wins, but yeah, we do want to help NA a little bit.
They usually do. And so with all of that, have you found that there are, I don't know if you've actually raided on NA at all because of that issue, but have you noticed that for certain raids there are different strats for both NA and EU, or is it mainly the same thing because the boss is so, everything is mainly more telegraphed and he'll just like turn and hit you type thing, that the strats are the same, or do they differ at all?
So main differences between the LFGs, first of all. The LFGs on EU seem to be more, they require you to do more things before you join, usually. So the EU LFGs will have you ping KP, which is an item that you drop from a raid boss after you killed it, which is actually a guild decoration. It's something that you can activate in your guild to create statues. People usually keep them so that they can ping them to commanders and get in the group. Or legendary insights or legendary divinations. They are legendary items that you drop from a boss once a week once you kill it. So people will ask you for 250 of those. So that means that you've killed bosses through raid 1 to 4 a total combined of 250 times. Or 250 of wing 5 to 7. Or you have a title that says, hey, look, I've done all of these bosses, because the title says that I've done all of these bosses.
Right.
The NALFG, on the other hand, is this wing, these classes get in and play. They don't really ask you for many kill proofs or any proof that you've done stuff. They just kind of go at it. And I did raid on NA a couple times, and I also do have some close friends that raid on NA very often, or like watch my stream, I watch theirs. The general PUG level in NA, because of this, it does seem to be a little bit more lost in a way. And there isn't really many differences in strats on bosses, even knowing that maybe the NLFG is a little bit more lost, or I don't know, people say like less skilled in a way. The only this is out of context. It's a trap. The only strat difference that I can think of, which is actually a funny one, because I do have to admit it makes more sense, and A is right in this case. There is a boss called Doom, which is the final boss of the 5th raid. At the beginning of the fight, there is 2 skeletons spawning, one on the left side, one on the right side. And NA starts on the right skeleton, EU starts on the left skeleton. And it makes literally no difference, because it's a 2-minute time-gated event that you cannot speed up in any way. But for whatever reason, that's the only strat difference I can think of. People always start me whenever I'm streaming, why do you start on this side? And then whenever NA people are streaming, like, why do you start on this side? That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, it doesn't really do much.
Do people believe you when you say it doesn't matter, or do they ever like argue their case of whatever side they start on, or do they also for the most part know that it really doesn't matter?
Yeah, they also just find it funny. I mean, like that event is, there's nothing you can do to speed it up, so you can literally AFK. But.
And so if you were going to put a group together, what are the things that you would require? Like, would you put together an exact would you put together a comp that you were looking for that best fit the fight? Would you make sure that there were DPS checks? Would you check people's DPS? And or would they have to link those items, those statues and such that you were just talking about, if you were the person putting something together?
So usually when I make a group, the only things I really care about is having double healer. Because most of the people that raid do require double healer. The druids, like even if the druid is really good, people might mess up themselves and will require a lot of heals. Having double healer is really, really strong in random groups on the LFG or just groups that are not organized, right?
Right.
DPS, I don't really pay attention to that. As long as you do not run into a death wall and instantly die, you can just get in. It's fine. If your damage is lower than the healer, I will maybe tell you to hit the boss harder, I guess. But I would never kick you because your damage is bad. This game does not have any DPS checks in raids. The only two ones I can think of would be Doom, which is the boss we were talking about earlier, but not even the actual main fight. The last 10% phase of the boss fight has some kind of DPS check. If you have maybe like 7 people alive at the end, you might fail it. If everyone is alive at the end, you should not fail that either. And then there's another boss called Largos, Twins. That also might have a little bit of a DPS check. If like the fight forces you to split in a way, so you send 5 people on one side, 5 people on the other. If one person dies on one side, then you might run into some DPS issues. But yeah, to make it short, like this game does not really have DPS checks. So like what I look for in the group is that you do not die to mechanics, and we have double healer. That is the most important thing. Right. Usually having double healer helps with not dying to mechanics as well. But yeah, I don't really mind if your damage is low. I don't really look at that when I make groups anyway. But yeah.
And so I've actually seen you join other groups and almost take a leadership role. Is that just kind of like second nature because you have done competitive PvE in the past, or do people end up asking you, or is it a thing where you're just kind of like, okay, we should have downed this boss already, like let me just take the reins and let you guys know what you should be doing?
I feel like it kind of depends. Like whenever I pug, at this point, some people will know me. So if I tell them, like, I recognize some account names or some character names. If I tell someone to do something, they might listen to me, they might not listen to me, or I'll just like give them an explanation. Give a little example. Someone stands in a mechanic that does a lot of damage on purpose, and they blame the healer. No, it's not. It's not the healer's fault. Like,
stand and fire DPS higher.
just don't stand in the damage, right?
Right.
Don't blame the healer. Or a lot of people tend to misunderstand why a wipe in a raid is happening. So explaining that might make them understand. Sometimes I will relog to a different class because something is missing. I don't like taking the leadership role in a group. I feel like that's a little bit, I don't know, it might be considered toxic, I guess, in a way. But if it does go on for too long, then yes, maybe I'll be like, okay, like what is happening here?
Right.
I will open my eyes, expand my brain, and maybe do something a little bit harder. But yeah.
And when you decided to do or to help put together the organization, because I don't know the full story, and I've been wanting to ask this whole podcast because we keep referencing it, but now I think is the best time. HardStuck, how was it founded? What was the idea behind it? Who founded it? Let's start there.
So HardStuck is a project that Teapot wanted to do already a while ago. Well, a very long time ago, actually, but it was always kind of alone. T-Bot has been doing a lot of good for the game for an extremely long amount of time, but he never really had a group of people that it could be like, hey, look, do this. Hey, look, do that. And there was a bit of the time where we all kind of took a break from the game in a way. And then we eventually all come back because we're all addicted and we cannot quit. And one day I was like, okay, so I came back to the game. I want to do something. So I got back into the game a little bit. I started raiding a little bit more again. I took like a 5-month break. Then I came back and I wanted to do a bunch of stuff. I wanted to do some events. I wanted to compete again. I wanted to do something in the game. Right? I came back to the game after taking a break because I didn't have fun anymore in a way. A weird story, but I sent a message to Teapot and I said, "Hey, look, I want to do something." And I talked to him about I want to do some events. I want to do something big. And then after like a couple weeks, he started saying, "Yeah, we can do this, we can do that." And then we made a guild. He actually already had a guild, like it was called Mystic Build, Salt. We ended up kind of making that, but from scratch with a different name, and actually restarting the whole thing with multiple people. Mm-hmm. So it's me, Teapot. There's some other people from the community like Angels, Roy, and some other people that are helping us behind the scenes. So I want to say I gave him, like, Teapot was looking for someone to reach out to. So I was like, hey, I'm here. I will help you. And then we just kind of got together with some other friends that we already knew from the game or from the community that wanted to help out. And we're still looking for people to help out now. So if anyone has any ideas or anyone wants to contribute in any way, I don't know, you're good at editing videos, you want to do some raid training, anything actually helps us and helps the Guilders 2 community. So it's not a finished project where we started recently still, so we're still missing a bunch of things, and we hopefully will still be doing this in a very long time.
Sure.
But yeah, we all kind of sorry, go on.
No, you're fine. And with the organization and the start of it, what were you looking to put together at first, and what was the initial goal to accomplish? Like, what are you trying to let people know? What is the community there for currently?
So we made a guild first. We made an EU guild and then an NA guild to just kind of try and make a huge group of people that want to be involved in HardStuck on both EU and also NA. But we wanted to make the guild active. So we do have some requirements of activity in the guild, because unfortunately the guild cap is 500 as of right now. So people constantly want to join, but there's not enough space. So we want to keep the guild as active as possible. So if you do happen to take an extremely long break of like 2 months, we're going to make space for someone else that is actually currently playing. You can join whenever you want to. We have a Discord channel, so if you happen to be removed for inactivity, just put your account name in there again. You'll be invited like within, I don't know, maybe a week, because again, the guild is full. But yeah, the goal was just to make a giant group of people that always play any game mode together. So if you're a PvE player, maybe come do some automated tournaments with us in PvP. If you're a PvP player, come do some raids with me. Let's do some, I don't know, let's create a PvP team. Let's do monthly AT together, monthly automated tournament. Or let's just all go in Wolvie World and just get a keep or something in Wolvie World. Let's do like a big fight with blob, a lot of lag, FPS issues. It's amazing. And yeah, we also started doing open world events. There's a lot of people that look at open world and they don't like open world. They think it's easy. They think it's unfun. So we also did some open world speed runs. Started grinding open world a lot. We got some really fast routes, some world records as well in there. We did a lot of raid challenges. So we wanna make sure that people from every game mode kind of follows us and sees that even something like open world or even something like raids that came out many years ago can be more challenging by trying to do it in a different way. So we do like a challenge mode of a raid boss, but we ignore a mechanic, so we purposely make it harder. But we don't necessarily bring the best players to do this kind of stuff. We just kind of bring in whoever, right? PvP player, boom, get in. You're now a PvE player. We turn you, we convert you to the other game mode. We just want everyone to kind of play with each other, because one big issue that even I had when I took a break, I only played PvE in this game for about 4 years out of 6. And after playing only one game mode out of 3, after a while I was like, oh, I'm bored. I'll take a break. I came back into the game and I realized that the game has a lot of stuff to do. It's just that I was not doing those things because I didn't want to. It's not that the game lacks content, it's that I'm just not doing the content. So I came back to the game, I started doing PvP, I started doing some World v World even, which I despised back in the days. But yeah, we want everyone, I kind of want everyone to go to the same thing, to the same thing that I did. Like, you play only PvE, come do PvP with us. You play only raids, come do some open world speedruns with us. Like, you do a lot of damage, probably, you're a raider, so come help us in open world, let's kill stuff very quickly. You do only open world, join my raid training, right? I'll get you into raids, or I'll get you into fractals. We have people doing raid training, fractal training. We kind of want, we can't force people to play every game mode, but we want people to realize that every game mode can be fun. It's not difficult if you do it with people that will lead you or teach you. We're not looking to carry people through content. We want people to have a good time, learn the encounters, and see that even something like maybe the story. I'm not a big story guy, but the story in this game is amazing. Let's do story together. There is a new patch very soon, for example. Right. Let's all do the new big content all together. Let's see what happens. Let's, I don't know, make fun of a character that, I don't know, we don't like, or something like Braham, for example. But yeah.
Have you ever thought of possibly having guides, even since you guys are so good at getting things together and trying to possibly teach people raids? Have you ever thought about trying to do text guides or anything like that, maybe in like a document or something like that, or even not just for raids, but for classes and specific builds as well? Is that something that's in the works too?
So yeah, every time we stream, I try to do 2 raid training a stream, for example. 2 raid trainings per week. There's other streamers that also do a couple of raid trainings per week. Deepo also randomly does raid training whenever he has time or whenever he feels like it. Whenever someone asks in chat, he'll bring them in. But we do try to do this on stream as much as possible. We also do upload some of them on YouTube, so they stay there and people can look them up whenever they want to. There's also some more specific guides that are a little bit edited, a little bit of actual, like, proper speaking English and stuff like that. So Teapot does a bunch, I have a bunch, some other people have a bunch. We do also want to make text guides. We're actually building a website, which will probably take a little bit longer. But we want to have video guides, text guides with images next to it, or like GIFs next to it, so you can see what is actually happening. And also, yeah, guides for specific classes in a specific content as well is something that we want to do. Because a lot of people will look up, big build guides, like build guides, of course, we also want to do that. But a lot of people will take a build from a website and will go into the raid and press their buttons and do something. But we want to make sure that people know how they can be very useful in every encounter on every build, which is something that will take a lot of work and might also eventually change because of balance patches, but it is something really, really important because a lot of people will take a build and not use half of the build's kit, and they will be not as efficient as someone that has a lot of experience. So I'll give you an example that you'll see maybe later on. Guardian has a spec called Firebrand. You have access to 3 tomes. The first tome gives you these fire, like, damaging abilities. The second one has heals and condition cleanses. The third one gives you stability. so you don't get knocked down. You give Aegis, so you can block attacks, and you give toughness to your team. A lot of people, when they are playing the DPS variant of Firebrand, will only use the first tome, which is the damaging one. Even though they can use the second and the third one to support their team, they never actually will do that. Which is something that is really important in a raid, because yes, you do need to do a lot of damage, but you do not lose anything by like saving the raid group by spending 2 seconds in a different skill.
Right.
Which it sounds like an exaggeration, but giving your entire team a block or resistance or extra stats will actually save you a lot of the time. So we want to make sure that you are playing engineer. You will be very efficient on every single boss by watching a little guide that lasted maybe like 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes of your time that will stay with you forever. Maybe you can even apply that to a different class that you play. You can even apply to that to like future content that gets released. It just stays with you forever, right? So we do want to do all of the things you mentioned. It will take a little bit of time. It'll be a little bit of work, but it is very, very helpful to people that will not get into raids and stuff.
Sure. And other than everything that you just mentioned, is there anything else that you've always wanted to do, regardless of if it was in HardStuck or a community or just for your stream, that you haven't gotten to do yet? And maybe that's something that your viewers or community can look forward to?
So the project of world's first, the world's first event race that I was talking about earlier, I think that would be extremely cool. I do eventually want to try. The main problem would be getting the tryhard guilds to actually stream their world's first race, right? Because not all of them actually want to do that. But yeah, I do want to maybe force them to do that a little bit at some point. I do want to do more training runs on stream. I maybe do. I want to do more community-oriented things because on stream I usually do a lot of just raids. I join random pugs. I try to help them out, kill a boss, do fractals. I do all these things, but I mostly am. I used to play just by myself, like back in the day. So I'm just kind of used to, I want to do a pug. I join a pug, kill the boss, and I'm done. I want to do more community-oriented stuff. I want to do more training raids. I want to do more raids where I'm like, get in, let's just kill a boss. You're new to raids, it's fine. You get in the raid, I tell you what to do, and then we kill it. I want to do more things like this. I want to. It sounds a bit off character for people who know me a lot, but I do want to put more effort into. I'll give you an example. Super Adventure Box. I'm not sure if you played it much. I love Super Adventure Box. I love jumping puzzles in this game because they're actually amazing, and they should definitely do more of them, by the way. I feel like Super Adventure Box didn't get enough recognition. There is some really, really good speedrunners for Super Adventure Box, and before the event came out, I decided I wanted to make an event for that, because all of these people, yes, they post around on YouTube, they post around on the Reddit, but there is a huge group of people that will never see those runs, even though they are very well done. So I want to give space to those people. There is a lot of people that maybe do some open world cool things. I want to reward those people as well. There's people that do raids with really interesting builds, like Minion Monster Necro, for example. Necro can spawn like a lot of minions. They just go in, kill the raid bosses using only minions and nothing else. I think that's kind of cool. It kind of shows you how much variety you can have in raids without really caring about like what class you play and stuff. I do want to do more. I want to make sure that the community helps each other a little bit in a way. It is difficult for me personally because I was never really a big community guy. As I've said in the past, I used to just stare at the screen, grind the boss, get a fast time on the boss, or grind something. But yeah, being around the Twitch community for a while or the YouTube community for a while, it is a really fun place. A lot of fun, good people that want to help the community. I want to be in there as well. I wanna guide people in a good direction. I wanna help out the game a little bit, ArenaNet a little bit, all of these things.
And so, do you have anything that's already scheduled that people can look forward to, regardless of if it's HardStuck or your own stream, with a specific date that people can be excited about yet?
So I have these. I have the Super Adventure Box speedrun on Monday. So it'll be tomorrow, I guess, on the 26th. There's gonna be the Super Adventure Box. It's a submission competition, so you have had time to grind the run until that day, and then whoever won from the submitted runs, the top two get to compete in a live event 1-on-1. And then yeah, there's a lot of prizes, gold, gems given to me by ArenaNet, community chests, which are new kind of reward that they recently made for events like this one. Some artwork to be done for the actual winner as well, by a really good artist. And yeah, there's also a fashion contest that is going on today, or in a couple hours. I'm not sure about time zones. I'm not the best time zone guy. But yeah, there's a fashion contest. There's a 1v1 PvP tournament going on. Very soon we're going to have a fractal tournament as well. Another PvP tournament. A raid tournament in about a month, I want to say. So there is things that have not been fully announced yet as well. But we're going to have announcement very soon. I don't have any dates yet, unfortunately, but there's going to be, we plan in HardStuck, we plan to have a big tournament every month with some little events in the middle. So we're also giving some attention to beetle races, mounts. Well, the beetle mount is very fun in this game. There's races all around the world. We wanna give more attention to beetle races because they're very competitive and they're really fun. Jumping puzzles, same thing. They're a lot of fun. There's a lot of people that are really good at pressing spacebar in the game, so we want to give them some gold as well. Same thing for raids. Same thing for people that spend a lot of time customizing their character. A lot of people say that this game is all about fashion in the end game, which they are completely right about as well. But we do want to give everyone that likes to do anything in the game more attention, more gold. Make them feel like they're actually being rewarded for the effort they're putting in, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, very soon, well, in tomorrow basically, SAB speedrun, raid tournament soon, PvP tournament soon, fashion contest every 2 months or so. We try to have some theme, so Christmas theme, Halloween theme, like all these things, right? We try to space them out for actual real life events that happen once in a while.
That's cool. And so since I've had you, and I know that it's late, and it's been almost an hour, is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything that you felt like might have been missed or not touched on enough? And then if you could just let anyone know where they can find you again.
Sure. So one thing that I, in a way, I feel like I want to add to the topic from earlier from fractals and raids LFG.
Absolutely.
So the good thing about fractals is that fractals are divided in different tiers. So there is tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then in tier 4, you have the challenge mode of some of the fractals. So that means that you can pretty much play whatever you want in tier 1, 2, and maybe even 3. But once you get to tier 4, people will expect you to take it a little bit more serious in a way. So the LFG will be a little bit more strict. People will ask you to use food and potions, the fractal potions, which give you a lot of extra damage, resistances, and movement speed, and all these things, which is something that raids don't have. Raids do not have a tier 1 raid, tier 2 raid, tier 3, 4, tier 4 raids. Raids only have go in. Some of them have a challenge mode that you can enable. Some of them don't. Most of them don't, at this point, I want to say. So the LFG for raids will be a little bit more imbalanced in a way, because they, like fractals, in a way, do have difficulty settings because of the different tiers. There's people that actually only do tier 1 dailies every single day. People do only tier 2 dailies every single day. For raids, it's not the same. So there'll be a gap in skill between raiders, which might cause people to be a little bit extra toxic to each other, which is a word that I don't want to use, but
it's okay.
Fastest way to go about it. So
it's
yeah, the raid LFG, the raid LFG will seem a little bit scary sometimes, but this is something that I do on stream. For example, a lot of people, even in HardStuck, unfortunately, are scared of me. They're terrified of me. Because I feel like I am very just with my raid groups. I do raid training very often on stream, and whenever I do raid training, I try to go for 4 players that are experienced, and the other 6 being inexperienced or never even have done a raid before. I don't care what build you're running, I don't care what traits you're using. You get in, I'll explain you the boss fight, and we kill every boss, right? So that's fun. You get to teach people that are in the raid. You get to show it to people that are on stream, so they can also learn without being there. And then you can also upload it to places so people can find it eventually, right? Whenever I do my normal raid clear, I try to just kill the bosses and move on. I don't really want to spend too much time on it, so I can do other things, such as a raid training, for example, right?
Right.
It's a little bit difficult sometimes because there is no difficulty settings, like fractals in a way. So what I'm trying to get here is that do not be scared of the raid LFG. Like, EU is very active. It asks you for a lot of, what is KP? What is Legendary Insights? I have no idea. What are all these things that they're asking of me?
Right.
I don't have LI. I don't have KP. I don't have these things that I don't know what they are. Can I get in? Can I get a chance? Commander says no, you don't lose anything. Commander says yes, you get to experience a raid. Ask a question. Ask me a question. Mela, never raided before. Can I get in? Sure, get in. Hey, Xandrii, I never raided before. Can I get in? Sure, get in. Same goes for the NA LFG. The NA LFG is a little bit, as I said, it is a little bit emptier than the EU because of population and discords and stuff.
Right.
Make an LFG. Maybe people will join you and you save the NA LFG, finally. You're the first LFG, everyone is going to join you instantly because there is no other one, right? But yeah, one thing I'd like to see for Guild Wars 2, PvE content groups, difficulty settings, yes, new raid, elite specs, expansion coming soon, which I think will be good. I hope will be good.
I know. Everyone's hope.
I have big hope.
Me too. I haven't even gotten there yet, and all I know is it has dragons in the title, and I just want it to be good, just because everybody wants more content, especially after the last chapter of Icebeard coming out on Tuesday, I believe. Is it Tuesday?
Yep, it's the end.
And so will you be streaming that? Will you be going through that whole story mode and streaming it on your channel?
Yes, I'm not the biggest story guy, but when a new episode comes out, I do usually play it on stream. And also there is this new content on this new mode, which is open world in an instance that you can either do with 80 people or 50 people of your own squad. So we're actually going to be trying to form a giant group of players and trying to be the first group of people to actually clear this as fast as we can.
Right.
And then I do usually give my thoughts on stream as well. I do not always hold back on opinions.
That's okay.
But yeah, I'm going to be doing that. Will you be doing that as well? Will you be
not on Tuesday? 8? Eventually. That when you came into stream and saw my level 35 character, that's the highest I am. So, but yes, eventually. I'm a big story person. So
I've seen. I've learned lore watching your stream.
Good. But if you could remind everyone again where they can find you, what days you can stream, and what time, and we will conclude for now.
So yeah, I stream every day on twitch.tv/Mela from about 12 p.m. CEST to 7:30 p.m. CEST. Sometimes earlier, sometimes late, because my sleeping schedule is non-existent. And yeah, YouTube channel called Mela. You can actually still find me on YouTube by saying Mela SC, because that was my old guild. It still comes up on YouTube for some reason. Or Mela on YouTube. On Twitter, hi, I'm Mela. And yeah, stream every day on Twitch. Lots of raiding, training, do PvP as well sometimes. Bit of WoW World action as well. Mostly PvE content though. So dungeon solos as well, because those are fun. Fractals, everything PvE related. And yeah, that's about it.
Perfect. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course.